G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to start off recapping exactly what happened today in day 2 of the FNCS. We had absolutely nail-biting finishes on NA East and EU. We had a pretty predictable finish for NA West as well, but I still want to break down the games. I'm not going to go in as much detail as I have in my yesterday's video, because at the end of today's video, I really want to talk about the massive changes we're getting to competitive next season, and what I think is going to be huge changes to the way Arena works. I have actual evidence to back that up. I'm not basing it on nothing. People haven't been talking about how we have a preseason for 1 week when the new season drops, which means arena points aren't resetting, and I want to talk about what that means for competitive going forward and why I think we are going to get a massive change to arena. Kicking things off with NA East, look at this leaderboard. Look how ridiculously close it came in the end. Slacks, Jack, and Acorn winning on 303 points. Commandment Centered Edgy in second on 299. Bucky, Kanata, Mackwood in third on 296. Daymir and Reverse in fourth on 291. So that top 4 is ridiculously stacked. And as you see, Clix, Bugha, and Bizzle with the huge comeback today, an insane performance from them, brings them up into 5th place on 254. The jump down from there to Degen, Aged, and Skittles was pretty massive, but just look at that top 5. It was so exciting at the finish. This really did come right down to the very last game. Slacks, Jack, and Acorn were up. Commandment Centered Edgy were up, and Bucky, Kanata, and Mackwood were all up inside top 6 teams. So it was ridiculous. You had Commandment trying to solo clutch to hold on to the lead to try and take it from Slacks, Jack, and Acorn, who were just ahead of them. But it ended up going down to be a 2 elimination difference between 2nd and 1st, and then a 3 elimination difference from 3rd to 1st. It was insane. But like I said, we had a huge come up from Clix, Bugha, and Bizzle as well. So I'm not going to break down every single game, but I really want to just have some big talking points about NA East, because man, there was a lot that happened. Slacks, Jack, and Acorn did play the most consistent Fortnite on the day. As you can see, the top 4 teams all having 1 victory royale, but it was Clix, Bugha, and Bizzle's 3 victory royales in the end, coming back on the 2nd day, that was a huge talking point. And people have been asking, you know, Jack, Slacks, and Acorn, do you think they deserve the win? Honestly, they 100% did. In a 12-game format, they played so consistently out of Slurpee Swamps. They had an average placement of 6.83 in 12 games with average elims of 5.92. Just ridiculous. Commandment Centered and Edgy was so ridiculously close to being able to jump up and take this one. They came 2nd last FNCS. They've come 2nd this FNCS. Slacks, Jack, and Acorn came 5th last time as well, so they're no stranger to top 5. The first new team we saw in the top 3 though was Bucky, Kanata, Mackwood. They almost brought it back. Remember, Bucky didn't connect into game 1 yesterday of the day 1, and in game 1 of today, you had Mackwood and Kanata both get headshot snipes back to back. And I mean, I'll just roll the clips here and show you what the headshot snipes look like. I mean, they got super unlucky.
Northeast has to come in.
That's it.
Oh,
I wasn't even, bro. I wasn't even peeking. Bro, I wasn't even peeking.
Cracked him. He's cracked. Just res him.
Mom's life, I wasn't peeking
Fine,
there.
it's fine. Just res him.
Fine, bro.
Okay, yeah.
Bro, that's
And he headshot sniped me as well. Behind the wall. I wasn't even peeking as well on my life.
It's XMB. They died. I think it's 1-2. Get his body.
Need a truck flash.
Those clips happen so close together. You can literally hear Mackwood going from the first clip talking about how he was behind the wall into the second clip where then Kanata gets snipes also behind the wall. So they really did have some unfortunate runs. And again, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that happened to Commandment Centered Edgy, Slacks, Jack, and Acorn that was also unlucky. I don't want to take it away from them. It's just insane that it came down so close, and they've got clips like that back to back, and they didn't have Bucky connect into game 1. So super unfortunate for them. Daymir and Reverse were in 4th place as well. They were so close, 291. They almost went back to back, being FNCS champions last season and this season. 2 games into the day 2, they were still on top, popping off, but from there things really went downhill. Unfortunately, they got a 22nd place in their 2nd last game. They got 0 placement points in their 4th last game. They got a 19th place, 0 placement points. So things really did start to go downhill in the second half of day 2, but they still hold on to a top 5. And then, like we said, Clix, Bugha, and Bizzle, look at this comeback right here when it came to day 2, right? So let's just go through their whole match history. 27th place, 12th place, 12th place, 13th place, then 1st place, Then 15th place wasn't too fantastic, 11th place, and then the comeback happened. They came 3rd, 1st, 6th, and then 13th. That last game, unfortunately, just cost them. Like I said, it was a pretty big gap between 4th and 5th, though, and there was an even bigger gap between 5th and 6th, but they jumped up there. They got the $18,000 each, but now Day, Mirror Reverse, and Clix, Bugha and Bizzle also all missed out on the top 3, and a lot of people haven't been talking about what top 3 means. There is a new rule that has been added this season where any team that came top 3 in the finals automatically qualifies for the grand finals next season. So let me talk about how important that is before I break down EU. So in Epic Games' competitive blog post that they released at the start of this season, they made specific announcement about that the top 3 teams from each region's finals will auto-qualify for the next season's FNCS finals. Note, this change requires that all 3 members of the team remain together during the next season. Now, this has pros really upset. Let me explain why. I know if you're from another esport or you don't really follow the scene, it might be confusing. Why are you upset getting automatically qualified into the next grand final? It means you can't get griefed and you get guaranteed prize money. Because remember, once you make finals, it is guaranteed prize money. But same reason why the pro players were really upset when if you came top 10 in one of the qualifying weeks, you weren't able to play the future weeks. Now they're going to miss the qualifying weeks and the heat. So they're going to miss the first 4 weeks of FNCS and then just make it straight through to the grand final. You can understand why they'd be upset because it means they're not going to get practice. They're not going to be able to play the game. So this one has me torn. You're getting automatically invited, so you have a huge chance to get even more prize money. It is really establishing Fortnite as a more serious esport in the sense that the top tier players don't have any issues of getting griefed or any bad luck in qualifiers. You have them go straight through. But I fully understand why the pros aren't happy about missing out on the first 4 weeks of FNCS and then only going to be able to play the finals. They're going to be rusty. They're not going to be able to acquire their drop spots. They're not going to be able to pick any of their drop spots. And again, they just want to be able to play the game more. So I don't know if Epic's going to maybe add something in where they get the option to choose not to take these qualifying spots. I really don't know. But the other thing people aren't focusing on is, remember, we had the announcement at the start of the season that there is going to be a $20 million prize pool this year for FNCS and other tournaments. 12 million of that is going to go into the 4 FNCSs. They're going to have $3 million each. That leaves $8 million that has been put aside for what they describe as mid-season and end-of-season tournaments that you're going to qualify through to with consistency and playing with the same team. So again, I get why they might be frustrated, but imagine that Sentence team, Sentence team, Jack's team, all those teams, Mackwood's team, make it straight through into whatever this end of season event is that has an $8 million prize pool against only other teams that came top 3 or played and stayed together. That could be ridiculous as well. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that because you probably heard a bunch of pros talking about why they're upset for the fact they came top 3 in that reason, and then why they are kind of, complaining about it because you maybe haven't been following it. Like I said, there is even more to break down on NA. We had Zayt, Saf, and Stretch potentially coming back. We had Chap's team doing so insanely poorly after being contested. We have Colazo's team splitting up. We have Coop announcing that he's not going to play with Nick Merckx and Cypher PK. Trust me, guys, there's a lot to cover, but I've been doing these longer videos, and I've noticed just from your guys' viewership and stuff, you haven't been vibing as much with the longer videos, and with the new season dropping tomorrow, I wanted to start getting more excited about the new season. If you want to talk about any of that, or you want my thoughts on any of it, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics, swing by. I'm happy to have a chat while I'm live, but let's move on to getting a bit of a recap going for EU because, man, NA East was exciting. EU was just as, if not more, ridiculous. If you look at the leaderboard, it doesn't look as close as what it was, right? So we have Hen, Janice, and Chapix coming in first on 311 points with 3 victory royales, and then you have Flick, Anas, Thomas HD coming in second on 271. I would like to mention, for all the people who say I don't follow EU, those were my 2 picks to win FNCS Grand Finals, and they come first and second. I'm proud of that. I know third place, Vidil, Noah Riley, Rezon, they're a team that I didn't think was going to be able to pull off that victory royale or top 5 because I thought with how aggressive they're playing. So I'll take the win with the L's as well. That's fair. I know you guys are going to hit the comments saying that I also got it wrong in that sense. That's fair. But it was an insane finish. And the reason why Hen, Janice, and Chapix look so much higher up in the leaderboard than what it was going into their final games is because they got the 6th game victory royale with such a ridiculously exciting endgame at Steamy. It was insane. You had all the big teams making it to the very end. Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD went down a little bit early, but the other big teams were up. Again, I have to to mention as well, Rezons did crash going into the final game. He was super upset. The whole community freaked out. Everyone started this chant to get a reconnect feature going into Fortnite, which I totally agree with. It's super upsetting, but me as a person, I always like to focus on the positives when I can. I like to celebrate the victors. I don't like anything to take it away from them, but I have to mention that it wasn't exactly a fair race at the very end. But, you know, Hen, Chapix, and Janice ended up coming out over 51 points on top of Vidil, Noel Riley, and Rezons. So you have to say they did a phenomenal effort right at the very end to take it. I have to give a big shout out to Vidil, Noel Riley, and Rezons. Like I said, they proved me wrong. They really did play phenomenal Fortnite. Going into the final few games, they were actually in first place on day 2. They were really having a phenomenal run of it. It was only because their second last game was a 2-elim 13th, and then their last game was a 2-elim 25th that they did drop so far down. They had full potential to win this FNCS, and I'll happily admit that I was wrong. I did not give them enough credit when it comes to these set lobbies. They clearly have been doing their practice. They clearly have been putting in the time and making sure they know how to play stacked games, not just those W key lobbies. Jumping it up into 4th place, shout out to Enderlick, Snazy, and Sweeze. They actually did pop off. They had the second highest amount of points on day 2, which jumped them up into 4th place overall, finishing on 247. Benjyfishy, Amplify, and Matzo unfortunately did drop down a little bit. They finished on 5th in 227. Benjyfishy took to Twitter to say that even though they didn't perform quite as well as what he wanted, I mean, top 5 still pretty damn solid, $35,000 each. He has found a team that he's super happy with, and he is going to be sticking with them for next FNCS. They did only form this FNCS and midway through, and still pulling off a 5th place in finals. That is insane. They have nothing to be upset about. Super impressive performance by them. I mean, I got to drop down into 8th place. I dropped Tayson and Savage. Did bring it back a little bit. They came into day 2 in 10th. They jumped up 2 places overall, but still, for your 2 times FNCS champion Tayson, and potentially trying to go back to back, it was a pretty upsetting performance, and I'm sure he's pretty gutted. Do I think this team will stay together? I'm not entirely sure. We know that Tayson has a lot of confidence in himself as a player. He's always trying to play with the best, and I wonder if he's going to take any blame in this situation, or whether he is going to try and find new teammates for the next FNCS. Again, like I said, this FNCS was honestly one of the best. It was so incredibly exciting, but I just don't want to take up too much of today's video just recapping. And again, if you want to swing by to the stream, come ask me any question you like. I'd love to have a chat about it. I want to focus on what's coming up next now, because that's what you want to come to my channel for, right? You want the updates, you want to know what's going on, and I want to keep you guys informed on something that not enough people are talking about. The new season is kicking off tonight or tomorrow, wherever you are in the world when you watch this video, and we're not getting an arena point reset, and a lot of people don't realize that or don't know why. So if you go back to the blog post that Epic released at the start of this season, if you scroll down, it says, let's briefly look ahead to next season. We're planning to add a competitive preseason for 1 week, March 16th to 23, so players can experience everything Chapter 2 Season 6 has to offer and give us feedback. Additionally, players will retain hype from Season 5 until the conclusion of the preseason. At that point, the competitive season for Chapter 2 Season 6 will begin, and everyone will be reset to 0 points. Players will have at least a week to earn enough hype points to compete in the first Cash Cup of Season 6, we will continue the Monday Trio Cash Cups, Saturday Solo Cash Cups, and Sunday LTM tournaments from Season 5. So we know that we're only going to get a week break, well, 2 weeks total, because it's going to be 1 week for the preseason and then 1 week when the actual season starts, until Cash Cups. So that's already one massive clue that no one's really talking about. We have about 2 weeks with no Cash Cups, but the arena points aren't resetting. We're getting our first preseason. Now, what do I think this means? Because I think this means we're about to get a huge change to arena. It's fair to say that Epic has come a long way when it comes to communication and how Fortnite is tracking as an esport now. We have one competitive set game mode. We know exactly when the next FNCSs are coming up months in advance. We know how they're going to work. We know the format. We're getting way more communication from Epic when it comes to like Twitter and other forms of social media. We get to know when updates are coming out and what's involved in them. Things aren't making it into the competitive playlist until after a trial period. Things have come a long way, and now for the first time ever, we see ourselves getting a preseason, which makes me think that Epic is stepping up, and now they're going to finally try to make Arena an actual competitive game mode. And that's what I want to talk about, what this might look like and what I would like to see Arena look like, because you guys ask me about this all the time. How would I improve Arena if I could? I've put a lot of thought into this, because as someone from OCE, from a smaller region, I get about 10 to 20 minute queue times all day until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just can't play arena. This goes from when I get 4,000 points all the way up to my current 30,000 points. I play a fair bit, and when duos was in the game, the queues were a fair bit faster. But if you guys didn't see, Epic Games actually took duo arena out of OCE, no other region, just OCE, in a hope to make the queue times faster by making everyone play on just solos or trios. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. If anything, it made it worse. I was hopeful that it would make more people play solos and trios, but instead, it really maybe made trio queue times a little bit faster in the night when they were already almost instant anyway, and it made solo queue times no faster, and then the one game mode that you could actually find games on in under 10 minutes during the day or in the early afternoon is now gone. So it made arena far, far worse. So I want to see arena become an actual game mode, because the only way I'm going to be able to play this game during the day on arena is if we see a new a kind of revamp of arena. And again, it's going to mean stuff for you guys too. Other regions just want a cool arena system, right? How many times or how many seasons have you just got to 6,000 points so you can play FNCS and the Champions Cash Cups and then given up? You might play a bit with friends, you might play a bit when you're bored, but there's no real reward for grinding. Once you get to 6,000, nothing changes. You've heard about solutions kind of put forward by people like ImadGG or Cypher PK that talk about giving V-Bucks for wins. I mean, I wouldn't be completely against that, but I genuinely don't think that's going to make the games any better, because the only people you're going to have really try for a small amount of V-Bucks are probably the kids and players who aren't that fantastic. No offense, but again, most of the pros and the high-level players that you want to be playing arena, taking it seriously like any other competitive game mode, probably aren't going to care that much about getting a small amount of V-Bucks, and any massive amount of V-Bucks that they would give you that would make pro players actually care, they would never give, because then it wouldn't be valuable for them. They wouldn't have anyone spend money on the game. You'd be able to just grind out the V-Bucks. So what are some other solutions that I would suggest that I think could truly make arena a proper competitive game mode? First off, I think every single season should have a competitive skin bundle. So I'm talking a skin, a back bling, a gun wrap, a pickaxe, everything. And I think it should have maybe like 8 to 10 different editable styles. And the way you get access to each style is getting more arena points. So let's say if you get from 0 to 1,000, you get like a bronze version. And then if you get 1 to 2,000, silver, gold, and then they start to look insanely cool at the end. I'm thinking like a really amazing skin that lots of people would want. And then the styles towards the end become ridiculously significant. And I wanted to have a gun wrap, a pickaxe, and a back bling. So if you want to rock a different skin, you could still maybe run the gun wrap as a bit of a flex if you got in like the top, let's say 0.5% or 1% of players in a certain competitive game mode. That is going to make people actually try to flex. Think about how hard people try to get the insane like dark matter wraps and stuff like that in Call of Duty, right? People will do a lot to have something that shows how much they've played the game and how seriously they've taken it. And then to make people play the game seriously, especially at these really upper levels, they need to make it that it's like a normal competitive game mode in different games. So let's say your points decay over time. If you don't play for a week, you lose points. And they need to make it that once you lose points, you lose access to that style. It goes down. If you ever played League of Legends or a lot of other games with a really good competitive game mode, for example, League of Legends has the banner around their around the loading screen when you go in. People love that because they get to flex what rank they were last season. If you lose that rank, you lose that banner and you don't get to keep it. This is what makes people play the game, take it seriously, and they can't just get points and then stop. It means the entire season people are grinding, so making sure right at the very end they hold on to the cosmetics they want. And just like League of Legends or other esports, I think that you should have some kind of a logo or a banner or an icon that shows on the friends list so you can flex with your friends. It shows you in the kill feed so people know, again, it's a bit of a flex. I think there should be more areas where it displays what rank you are, not just your high point, but an actual rank. Like let's say you're diamond because you have 25,000 to 30,000 points, and that's really hard to get. That is what I think will motivate top tier players and actual players to try harder. And then with that, we need a very easily accessible public leaderboard in Fortnite, not just something on a website that I'm pretty sure at this point doesn't even always work. Something that is in game that you can regularly check to see how you match up against friends. You can flex if you're like, you know, like Marzo W, right? Look how much fame he's gotten for being really high up there on the arena points because he makes content about it. Everyone talks about it. There's people that are probably like insanely high on your region that you've never seen or know about that would have so much more clout and would motivate top tier pros to grind so much more if that leaderboard was more accessible and it was more public. I also think there should be some tournaments that you only get access to by having an insane amount of points, being really high up there, right? So instead of just having contenders and champions cash cup, you should have one that's like only the top rank and above, and it's not opens. It's just a 1-round tournament that you don't qualify through, because then imagine how good those games would be. If you're only inviting the top, 0.5 or 1% of players in every region to play in that, just enough to fill a few lobbies, it'll really motivate people to stay at that top point. And if they drop out of it, let's say, you fall out of the top 400 players on your region, another player gets access to it next week, and it would make it really competitive. The top players would actually have to try to stay at that level, or they drop down. And I know this doesn't really cater to many of the people in my audience. I know that 99.9% of you won't be pros that are in the top 400 of a region, but how exciting would that be to give you something to grind? You go and watch Marzo W playing Arena, and there's a 50-man endgame because no one wants to drop outside of top 400 because they want to hold on to it. I know obviously that would increase queue times potentially. You'd have to find a way to, like, a happy medium to do this, but that's the same reason why in League of Legends, other game modes, the queue times at the top get a little bit longer, but no pro player out there is saying, hey, I don't want to get Grandmaster in League because I don't want long queues. You want the good games. And yes, maybe a more placement heavy format when it comes to Arena could potentially make people play a little bit harder and, make them want to get a little bit more up there on the leaderboard. But at the same time, I don't think changing the format too much will help at the moment, when right now there is no reason to get more points. It's literally achieving nothing. So trying to say, hey, make it more placement heavy is not going to give it end games. You'll still have kids, you still have pros who want to drop 20 bombs because they're bored. They don't care about the points. All right, guys, I know today was a little bit of mix of both, and I am going to be doing a whole bunch of streams for the new season. I'll be doing a whole bunch of videos as well. I'll bring back some of the guide videos, some of my initial thoughts, any major changes. I'll always still be keeping you guys up to date. Just because FNCS is over, don't worry, the daily uploads are still going to be happening. So let me know in the comment section down below any thoughts you have on how they could improve Arena, anything I didn't include or I left out. If you liked today's video, please chuck a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.